So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. And thank you, Quentin, and thanks, Microlise, for putting on what is a fantastic conference once again. So I'm John Court, and I'm going to be sharing with you some of the recent developments at Eddie Stobart, both in the company generally, and also some of the things that we're doing with technology, which is the area of the business in which I'm most heavily involved. Just before we do that, let's get a flavour of what we've been doing recently with support from Microlise. So can you just see the video, please? So Eddie Stobart, probably the best known transport organisation, certainly in the UK. We've developed hugely in recent years, from being a traditional haulier to being a sophisticated multimodal supply chain services company. We've got over 2,000 vehicles, we have over 5,000 employees, we've diversified, we're working across a number of sectors. Traditionally, we'd focused on the consumer and retail sectors, but now we're growing in areas such as industrial markets and manufacturing. E-commerce is hugely exciting for us. And technology allows us to enter many of these sectors and drive customer service and drive efficiency on behalf of those customers.
We can see drivers in real time, so we're able to call the customers ahead if we can see that they're running late, rather than the drivers calling us. The customer then doesn't have to ring us asking for an ETA. We've rang ahead and let them know, so the relationship's going to be much better.
Technology and supply chain are synonymous these days. In every sophisticated supply chain operation, you'll find technology at the core there.
It gives us more time to plan ahead, which is key really in our roles. It's streamlined all our processes. It's made us much more efficient.
We've made a lot of targeted investments in technology, not just the telematics, but also in areas like business intelligence. So business intelligence allows us to make sense of all the huge volumes of data that we accumulate in our day-to-day operations. We use the technology to underpin our key operational processes. It's the driver's friend in the cab. The reaction from the drivers has been tremendously positive. We have a huge affection for the brand, which is a great starting point. And we're looking forward to a great future. And I'm looking forward to deploying a huge amount more technology to help us on that journey. So, as we heard on the video, in the last couple of years, we've been taking a long, hard look at the Eddie Stobart business. As part of this, we've identified several areas in which there's opportunity to make targeted investments in technology, and mainly either to simplify processes, improve efficiency, or to help drive customer service excellence. So we'll come back and talk about these in a minute, but I just want to take a minute or two to talk about some of the broader developments in the company, because for quite a number of reasons, the last couple of years have been quite exciting for us all. We've further strengthened our range of supply chain capabilities in addition to our fleet operations. We've improved and invested in our warehousing, our port and container operations, terminal management and rail services. So across the business, we've been investing in infrastructure, technology and our people. Similarly, while our traditional focus was on the retail and consumer markets, we've now taken what we consider to be a comparatively unique network offering to other sectors. So we're growing in the e-commerce sector, as we heard on the video, manufacturing and industrial as well, and other new sectors in which Eddie Stobart's traditionally not been as particularly active. Having said that, wherever possible, we'll continue to operate as a single transport network with a single fleet of vehicles, where the vehicles are regularly being utilised across more than one industry sector. So that's been challenging in terms of the technology, because as we know, the service demands of each of these sectors are quite different and diverse in many dimensions. But the technology actually helps us deliver that flexibility across the diverse range of customers, partly because we've got complete transparency and visibility of the fleet at any point in time, but we also have the flexibility through the apps on the Drive tab, which again you saw in the video, to accommodate some sector-specific processes and demands. So on this journey, it's also important for us to always bear in mind that while systems and technology and other infrastructure is hugely important, we've got a clear recognition that investment and an engagement with our people at all levels is absolutely critical to our ongoing success. So not only are we developing and investing in our people, we're also looking at how we communicate, particularly the channels through which we're now in modern society and the technology society able to use through which to communicate. And this ranges from, as you would expect, emails and text messages, other messaging services, web portals, downloadable apps, social media channels, and so on and so forth. So this is all about having as many options available and using the most appropriate channel, depending both on the specific message that we're trying to convey, but also the preferences of the individual or in groups of individual to whom we're delivering messages. And also clearly, there's often no excuse for face-to-face meetings, telephone conversations at least. But the options are there for us now. I'm just catching up on my slides. I noticed no key clicks, I promise. So another part of our journey was the recent announcement of our IPO. So a huge milestone for us last month when we had a successful listing on the alternative investment market of the London Stock Exchange, which brings new opportunities for us to continue to grow and further diversify the business. We've also acquired iForce, who, as you may know, are a market-leading e-fulfillment business, who deliver multi-channel solutions to many of the UK's leading retailers. And one of the things that impressed us about iForce was that they put great use of technology absolutely at the heart of pretty much everything that they do. So as one of the fastest growing supply chain businesses in the UK, iForce has established an enviable and absolutely solid reputation in this space. So we're confident the acquisition will bring many benefits for both our customers and for the market more generally. So coming back to the technology, and as I mentioned earlier, we see investments in technology as being important investments, almost as investments in our, as important as investments in our people and our other more conventional infrastructure, such as trucks like Rainbow Valentina, who you may have seen in the reception area, trailers and other infrastructure, property and so on. And we've made a range of targeted investments in technology which are designed to help us deliver efficiency, drive excellence and grow in a range of sectors. So in addition to our investments with Microlise in the area of telematics, we've also a range of initiatives underway in areas, quite a wide diversity and range of areas, including fleet management, which is all around how we manage our assets, make sure that we're compliant, work closely with service partners in a very integrated fashion to minimize fleet downtime, maximize compliance, and also our efficiency in actually carrying through these activities as well. So HR and people systems we've invested in, which is underpinning and supporting and emphasizing the importance we place on developing and communicating with our people. Customer systems, in particular CRM, which is a mechanism to help us stay aligned with both existing and new customer opportunities, and also investments in our core operational systems, including our warehousing, transport, and other operational systems. As we saw in the video, we're also investing in business intelligence tools and the whole big data agenda. And in the course of our day-to-day operations, we have no problem at all capturing huge volumes of data. There is no issue at all with capturing this data. The challenge has historically been making sense of all the data and turning it into usable information to deliver meaningful insights into the business operations. So we use this both internally and for sharing with customers increasingly, for example, through downloadable apps, offering insights into customer service performance. So just moving on to an area that we refer to as optimization, which is an area in which we're announcing a partnership with a company by the name of Kintic, who are a world leader in optimization techniques and tools. And as our network grows and diversifies and becomes more complex, we're working with Kintic to look at how we can further develop our use of real-time optimization to drive service to customers, reconcile the various customer requirements in terms of service, and at the same time drive further efficiencies in the network. And lastly, we're beginning to use new cloud-based integration tools. So just to warn, some buzz phrases coming up here. So you're probably familiar with the term SaaS, or software as a service. In fact, Microlise are a good example of delivering software as a service. Well, we're now into something that's being called IPaaS, IPaaS. Another buzz phrase for you, which stands for Information Platform as a Service. Now, the main purpose of this is to deliver open, flexible, and most importantly, cost-effective flows of information between ourselves and our customers. So, a number of reasons. Again, this is quite an exciting initiative for us. And it's a flavour of some of the things that we currently have underway within our organisation and the extended organisation. But finally, just to finish, I was conscious that nearly every supply chain technology presentation these days seem to mention either big data or mobile apps. We've heard it mentioned several times this morning already. And I think I've already used those phrases on at least one occasion, either in the video or here. But one of the other buzz phrases that I wanted to share with you, which again you may have heard of and be familiar and comfortable with, M2M, or machine to machine, more commonly referred to as Internet of Things, or even the industrial Internet of Things, which is how it's often been referred to now. So I just thought it'd be worth sharing with you, because we took stock of the items or the things that we have within our ecosystem to see how it's evolved and just what connected items we now have in and around our business. And it's fair to say that it was quite an eye-opener for us when we took stock. We've got such a range of connected things. This is items communicating in some sort of automated fashion via the internet. These things range from refrigeration units, ISO shipping containers, forklift trucks, security cameras, and so on and so forth. Whole range, a whole plethora of items out there, and probably each of many of your ecosystems equally will have an increasing number of connected items all ticking away in the background and accumulating data. So to finish with, I thought it might be interesting to pose 3 questions, particularly topical, particularly following the cyber challenges of the weekend. Questions related to mobile apps, industrial Internet of Things, and cyber security. So if I could ask you to get your devices on which you've got your downloadable apps or browsers. So the first question, do you expect to be introducing more mobile solutions in the coming 12 months? Vote now. So, significant vote, or over half of you will be investing in mobile solutions, which again is consistent with what we hear in the media. It reinforces the fact that, you know, mobile comms are absolutely pervasive, not just in logistics, but in our day-to-day lives. 20% no particular plans to invest, and 23% investing very heavily in mobile solutions. So a huge overall proportion investing in the whole mobile agenda. Okay, next question. Does your company have a published mobile strategy? So some sort of formalized mobile strategy within the organization? Vote now. So 38% don't have a published mobile strategy, which in itself is not necessarily an issue, but it maybe says either we're not doing a huge amount or it's more of an iterative strategy. 28% not really sure. And yes, we have a defined and published mobile strategy, 34%. Okay, the final and probably the most topical and at the risk of tempting fate for us all, I'll ask the question, how cyber secure do you consider your organization's overall environment to be? Whether this is influenced by any recent events or not, I'll leave you to decide. So first answer is highly secured, second answer is somewhat secured, third answer not particularly secure. Vote now. Encouraging. So just over 6% who don't believe their environments are particularly secure, which is a bit of a concern for those organizations and individuals, particularly in light of the malware and ransomware attack. Highly secured, 44.6%. I hope you're all proven right. We're all right until we're proven wrong in this sort of area, of course. Somewhat secure, 48%. Okay, good. That ends my formal section. Thank you, Quentin, and thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, John. Not surprisingly, we have been deluged with questions. Where do I start? The first one is there a technology expert who could turn the heating up?
Are we voting on that one?
No, we're not. But is anybody cold? No? Okay. Somebody obviously walking wounded from last night. I'm just going to read this one out. You don't have to answer it, but I think we all need to hear this one. I employ a foreign driver on an 8-month contract who's registered as a limited company through an agency. I've offered him a permanent position within the company, but he declined as he earns more as a limited company, boasting that he only paid tax on £13,000 earnings last year, when I know I paid him that in 3 months. So what is the industry and HMRC doing to stamp out this sort of behaviour? Okay, what has been your biggest challenge at Stobart's in the control of all the different technology you deploy?
It's a good question. I think it's a general point that although Stobart had deployed some very good technologies to build on the experience to date and the good things that have been done, we had to break quite a lot of inertia. So a lot of this is about change management. It's not purely about technology. So I think that was probably from a number of different angles to get these programs rolling. That was probably the most significant challenge that we had.
Okay, well, following on from that, another question. You talk predominantly about technology as a development for Eddie Stobart. Do you believe it's vital to increase driver value and knowledge, in other words, training, over increasing technology value in trucks, cameras, etc.? Now, a good example of this is fatigue risk management. I think it's a really good question.
Yeah, so, I mean, firstly, as I said earlier, we invest very heavily in our people, from drivers, warehouse staff, all the way up. We look at opportunities to use technology to make their job either more rewarding or more effective or more efficient. So when I referred on the video to the drive tab being the driver's friend, that's exactly the way that we've designed it to be as intuitive and easy to use. And if it's not making their life easier, then we've got something significantly wrong. Just on the specific point about fatigue, we are actively looking at a number of tool sets. There are plenty out there, the most appropriate tool set for that particular purpose.
Okay, another question. Is Quentin related to Jack Nicholson? No. Although it's quite useful when you're booking restaurants in Los Angeles.
I think we should probably vote on that one.
We have, doesn't mobile technology interfere with the new anti-mobile phone while driving?
Yeah, so again, we have thoroughly assessed how we use the drive tab. It must be locked in position under any circumstances when the driver's in the vehicle. We block and discourage any use of the drive tab while the vehicle's in motion, in essence. So safety is built in both to the design of the applications and to use of the physical device itself. We've got very specific processes, working practices around how and when we use that technology.
Okay. Final question. Autonomous trucks.
Yep.
Where do you see them? Is it a fad? Is it going to happen? If so, how long?
It's a great question. I think, I've seen and heard a lot of comparatively uninformed discussion and debate, and people tend to refer to the driverless vehicle, which I think is extremely misleading. I think there may be room and a future for connected vehicles because it can drive efficiency, it can contribute to the economy, the carbon emissions agenda in terms of fuel consumption. But I think there's a long, long way to go yet before it's trialled. The topology of the UK roads don't tend to lend themselves to connected technology. We've got too many junctions, we've got too much congestion. There aren't sufficient percentage of circumstances in which connected vehicles actually drive the benefits that we would expect them to. Having said that, we're open. We've had several collaborative discussions and initiatives looking at this. We don't see it as a silver bullet in any way. I think it may play a role in the future technology that's on our roads.
Let me just add something to that. It is coming. Ford have a driverless car without a steering wheel that's kind of ready for showroom sales by 2020. Volvo are running autonomous XC90s around Gothenburg. Google are running autonomous Pacifica minivans in San Francisco as taxis. So it is coming, but there are 5 stages of autonomous transport. The first is kind of hands-off, and the 5th, the last one, is brain-off, where you can sit and do anything you want. And that's a good 10 to 15 years away. But your point about how would we cope with our completely rubbish infrastructure in the UK with autonomous vehicles? You'd have to completely rebuild the whole thing. Whereas in other countries, America, Australia, etc., they have straight roads. You could just do it. But that technology is actually speeding ahead of legislation. Governments are lagging behind all the necessary regulatory provisions to keep pace with the technology, because it's not linear. Innovation just goes up like that. Okay, John, thank you very much indeed. A round of applause for John.
Thank you.